Many business owners think that they're creating or building a company, but the reality is that they're actually creating a really exhausting, never-ending job. And if you find that your business can't run without you, even for a day, then most likely this is what you've done. You've created a job for yourself, one that probably pays you less than you're worth, you work a lot more than the 9 to 5, and it's never-ending demands. So today we're going to break down how to change that so that you can actually grow, scale, and build something sustainable. Welcome to the Hobby to Profitability podcast. We're all about figuring out what it really takes to build a successful and thriving business. I'm Jacqueline Green, marketing nerd, AI consultant, and entrepreneur who's been through it all. My goal is to help you get the strategies, the tools, and the mindset shift you need to grow your business without the stress and confusion. Every week, we'll dive into real, unfiltered side of entrepreneurship, the mindset shifts, the strategic moves, and the unexpected lessons that come with building a business. We'll talk about what actually works and what doesn't, how to navigate those changes and challenges that you face, and how to create a business that really fits into your life. If you're ready to turn your passion into profit without the overwhelm, you're in the right place. So let me ask you a tough question. If you stopped working today, will your business still make money? This is an interesting question because if the answer is no, then you don't really have a business, you have a job. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, that realization really stings. Years ago, I walked away from my corporate job. I had had enough. I was exhausted. I worked for a woman that wasn't very nice. I had some commitments that I wanted to stick to at home as far as my kids went. So I walked away and decided to be a freelancer, a marketing freelancer. And what I realized as I moved along, it was great. I mean, I got clients. I was actually making what I thought was more money. And yeah, I was making more, but I wasn't taking into account all the hours I was working or the cost of, lights and internet and software and all those things into it. So was I really making more money? No. Oh, and don't forget healthcare. So when I walked away, I started working. And what happened was I worked and worked and worked. And when I wasn't working, I wasn't making money. And this went on for several years. Eventually what happens is I burned out. I completely burned out to the point where I absolutely hated marketing. I was not doing a good job for my clients, and one of my clients called me out on it, and they should have because I wasn't doing what I should have been doing. And I realized at that point that I had not built a business, I had built a job. So when I fast forward and I went to start behind the design, I realized I wanted to build something beyond me. I wanted to build something that could operate when I wasn't around. Or when I say not around, when I was on vacation or when I wanted to actually not work on weekends. Crazy concept, I know. And so that's what I kind of seeked out to do. And so the first thing that we started out offering was educational courses with the thought that, okay, we can still sell even when I'm not physically involved with the one-on-one experience. So many of us start our businesses because we want that freedom, the freedom to do the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to go to my son's baseball games. At that time, my oldest son was in high school, his freshman year, and I wanted to make sure I was there in the afternoons. And I just so happened to work for a woman who would not allow me to adjust my calendar, my schedule, so that I could be at a 4:00 game. This was a real problem for me because I had always been very involved and had worked for companies that were very flexible when it came to my children and my responsibility. At the time, I was a single mom, so a lot of this fell on my shoulders. And so when I started my own business, I wanted that freedom. I wanted to do the things I loved. I still at that time loved marketing, and I do now too. The break was actually really good for me. And I wanted an opportunity to make more money than I was because every year, even though I would get really good ratings at the end of the year of like, you're doing a fabulous job, here is your 1.38% raise, I wasn't really getting anywhere. So unless you really kind of jumped through hoops, it was really disheartening for me. So I felt trapped. But when I started my own business, I had a lot more control over that. But with that control also required a lot more hours. And so you may be feeling this way as well. How do we shift then from being overworked doers to becoming true CEOs of our business? And this is something I had to learn along the way. I looked at mentors, I looked at other people to really understand, and I really dove into who I was and why was I holding myself back and not able to scale. And so I wanted to take this company to the next level. And so we had to kind of do a lot of soul searching and figure out, okay, why am I stuck? And I think this is an important question, why most entrepreneurs are stuck in job mode. Well, the truth is most business owners unknowingly build themselves into a corner. So when you first start a company, we all know how tight it is. You don't have a lot of extra money to hire help unless you're going through the venture capital way, which most of us don't. You didn't have a lot of money to hire somebody to handle your social media or handle your administrative tasks or to handle this or that. And so we start doing it all ourselves. Well, then we start changing. Our mind gets to the point where, well, I can only do this. I'm the only one that knows how to do this. It would take me too long to teach someone else how to do this. And this is the completely wrong mindset if you truly want to be a CEO of your business. Because I don't know too many CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies that are doing the administrative tasks. I don't see that. I just don't. Maybe you do. I don't. And so we have to look at it, okay, how is our business? And part of this I should mention is that we do this because there's an emotional attachment. When you go out and start a business, I don't care who says, oh, well, business is just business. It's not personal. It's really personal when you are putting so much of your passion and love and work and effort into something and seeing it struggle or seeing yourself struggle. That is emotional. Is it right or wrong? No. But when we step back and kind of start taking that emotion out of it and realize, hold on a second, I can't keep at this pace. This is wearing me out. I'm going to end up hating this company or hating what I do or hating my clients because I'm working myself to death. And so we want to look at, okay, how do we do this? One, you have to identify, yes, I'm in this mode. I have basically created my own job, and that's a really hard thing to do. And here are 3 factors that you might want to consider. One, if you stop working today, would the money continue to flow at the rate that it is now and continue to grow without you? Most small business owners who are solopreneurs are going to say, no, the money will just stop. And so that's an important factor that we have to have different revenue streams. So we're going to talk about that in a second. We also have to know how things get done. Do you have to touch? Are you the only one who knows how to do things? Are you the only one that touches these things? Do you know the only one that knows how to operate certain things? That is a real problem because you have to build the systems and processes necessary to train other people to do those jobs in the manner in which your clients or you expect. And the third thing I want you to ask yourself is that, are you working in the business or on the business? And this is really important. I see this a lot in trades. I see it in design. I see in architecture. I see in all the different fields that we really have helped from a marketing perspective. And they're actually doing the work rather than being CEO. So if you're drowning in your client work or administrative tasks or daily operation, and there's no time to focus on the growth, then you have a problem. You also have a challenge that if you went out on your own and say you're a graphic designer and you wanted to design more, I know interior designers, a lot of times they'll leave the firm they're with so they can actually pick the projects and design. But that's not really all of running a business. But if you set up your business and you want to do more of those things and enjoy that part of it, then you need to figure out ways to take the other stuff off of your plate so you can do what you really want to do. Now, this is completely attainable. You can definitely build your business and look at it in a way where you are building it beyond just you. Let's be real. Random marketing tactics aren't going to grow your business. It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping the spaghetti will stick. If you're tired of spinning your wheels, or in this case, throwing spaghetti, then it's time to take a smarter approach. The Marketing Momentum Workshop is built for small business owners just like you, who need real results, not just more marketing noise. In one 4-hour session, we will work with you to pinpoint the best strategies and create a roadmap for your business that's going to help it grow. Take the first step. Book your free marketing health check now at behindthedesignco.com, and let's get your business moving in the right direction. So how do we break that cycle? How do we start running our business like a real business? I'm going to talk about several things that are going to help you with this. 4 different things to be exact. The first one is automate and systemize. Systems are critical to the success. Have you ever watched the McDonald's movie about how McDonald's got started? The number one thing that, if you really listen to it, that happened is they systemized everything. Everything from who provided the fries or the potatoes for the fries, how many minutes or seconds or whatever a burger had to cook and how it was cooking, how you treated fries, how much salt. They systemized everything, even down to shakes. Everything was systemized. And the reason why was because when they decided to franchise, they could take that system and pick it up and move it over here and do the same thing over here. That's exactly why people buy franchises. It's because the system is already there. But if you've started a business from the ground up, you don't have those systems. Or you have them, but they're in your head, not actually on paper. And that's a real problem. And so you want to create those systems. You want to write them down. Now, I'm going to give you a hint on this. If you are struggling with your systems and knowing, there's a couple different things you can do. One, you can actually ask AI, like a chat, and say, hey, I'm trying to build this system. I'm using these tools. So if you're trying to use a project management software, we use Asana. If you're using a Monday.com, whatever, you can ask it, I'm trying to build these systems, and I'm using this system, and I'm using these types of apps. How do I use them? Chat will give you a detail of how to use what your system looks like. And it will also tell you, okay, and this is how you input this information into your project management software. It's smart that way. And so at that point, you can take that and you can revise it and do different things. If you do something like updating your website and you want to hire somebody, let's say it's complicated or the way you want to do it, you want it done in a specific way. One thing you can do is just record your screen as you're uploading or making changes, and then give that to your VA or employee or marketing person and say, hey, these are how I want this system to be done. And you can also use that video and transcribe it. And guess what? You have your system. And so automation and systemization does not have to be real complicated, but you do have to take the time and effort to do it. Now, the next thing I want you to think about is how to create scalable offers. Even if you're a coach or you offer one-on-one service, what can you offer as an additional revenue stream that would help you generate revenue outside of you physically touching this? This is the key to building out business growth and really being scalable. You have to be able to make money in different revenue streams, and you have to be able to make money beyond you. And this is important to note that if you're going you want to ask yourself, where are you taking this business? Is this just a business you're going to do until you retire, or are you going to want to sell it? Are you going to want to hand it off to your kids? What do you want to do when your business is all grown up? How's that going to work? Understanding and having different revenue streams that don't rely on you is absolutely the number one important thing, because nobody's going to buy a business that is only dependent on you. If you walk away and the business doesn't run, it's not a business. And it's important to understand that. So you have to come up with scalable offers that can work when you're not working. The next thing is building a team. Now, this does not mean that you have to go out and hire full-time employees. I know there are a lot of people who are very reluctant to hire full-time employees. This was a hard thing for me to do, is to hire someone full-time. That person is dependent on you. And so there's a lot of stress. So moving from being a solopreneur into actually hiring a full-time employee was a real adjustment for me. But I have to admit that it did actually help me think through those systems, think through the processes, think through on a much larger scale. But you can still build a team with consultants, with freelancers, with people you can outsource. Get a VA, get a social media manager who can manage all that stuff for you, can respond, empower them to do the things. Even an AI-powered assistant would help you. Figure out how you can remove yourself from all those little operational things. Now, what I do, and I think I've mentioned this on another podcast, is I really took a deep dive in this. And I started looking at, okay, what am I doing every day? So I have a sheet when I track the things that I'm doing. What can I take off my plate that somebody else can do that that doesn't require my level of strategy or my level of understanding, that somebody like a VA might be able to do quickly, more easily. The other thing to keep in mind here is that just because you can do something doesn't mean you're the best person to do this. I'll give you a great example. My husband is a doer. He can work on anything, and I mean absolutely anything. And he works on things and he takes his time and he's meticulous and it's perfect. It absolutely is. But it will take him so much longer than if he just hired somebody to come in and do something. And it's painful. It's absolutely painful. And so there had to be a balance as we got older to understand that just because you can do these things doesn't mean you're the best person for it, because the person you're hiring does this every single day, day in, day out. And they know the tricks. They know the little, situations where you can get into this problem and how to fix it quickly. They know how to do it and they're quicker about it, and it can be just as good. Is it perfect? Nope. But it's just as good enough? Yes, it is. And so when we start thinking that way, it's really important. Who can help you with those tasks that you don't like to do, or that you're wanting someone else to take over because you want to spend your time strategizing? You want to figure out new products to offer, new revenue streams, how to build up your team, lead your team, all those things. Which brings me to my fourth point. You have to shift your mindset from worker to owner. And for someone who came from the corporate world into ownership, that was a huge problem for me. It took me many years. I would say it took me over 10 years before I finally realized that I was the one holding me back. It wasn't anything else, and it was my mindset. I had to start thinking beyond just getting the work done. I had to think, okay, I'm the owner. How are we going to get this done? But it didn't necessarily mean I had to do this. And this is a really good point, that if you envision your company going to a certain point and growing and offering products, but then you're like, well, I don't have time to do that, or I don't have the staff to do that, or we can't get that done, there's a key indicator of that there's a problem. Because if you have this big vision and you're not allowing yourself to grow to that big vision because something's holding you back, then most likely you're thinking more like a worker and not like an owner. An owner thinks, who can help me get this done? A worker thinks, how do I get this done? And if you haven't read the book, Who Not How, I highly, highly recommend it because it is eye-opening. You understand that you don't have to touch everything as the business owner. You don't have to have knowledge in every single little area. As long as you're serving your clients, you're leading your team, there are people on your team that can do just as good, if not a better job than you. All right, so we talked about a lot today. We talked about changing that mindset, identifying how and when you have now created a job over actual business. And then we gave you 4 tips on how to move that mindset from being the worker into being the owner. So it's really important to start moving in that direction. And yeah, this might not be something you do overnight. It wasn't for me. But if you want to get to bigger numbers, more scalable, that vision that you envision for yourself and your business, then I really suggest you kind of take this into account and think through, do I really need to do this, or can someone else do this for me? Now, here's the challenge for you today. Look at your business today and ask yourself, if I walked away for a week, would it still run? And if the answer is no, what's one step you can take this week that could start changing that? Just one thing. Now, whether you document the process, hire help, test an automated offer, you need to take action. Find one thing that you can hand off to someone else. And if you need more guidance, you need some help with determining your strategy and how you're going to move forward, get with me and we can talk. I offer free 30-minute consultations, and we can talk about what the best form and direction you can go with. And then don't forget to subscribe. If you're finding value in this podcast, the best thing that you can do to help us is to subscribe, as well as share it with friends or family, colleagues, anybody else you think might find this valuable. And join me for the next episode of the 5 hard truths no one tells you about running a business. There's going to be insightful things here, so I want to make sure you get it. So be sure to subscribe. Thank you for listening to the Hobby to Profitability podcast with Jacqueline Green. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend. You can learn more about Behind the Design at our website at behindthedesignco.com. And be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn or subscribe to the Behind the Design channel on YouTube for more great business growth strategies. Now, I'll see you next time.